Am I the a-hole I did not send my ex-fiancé's belongings to her? 3 months ago, Vanessa no-showed me on the day of the wedding. She had not mentioned any disagreements, and I was taken by surprise when she just did not show up at the altar. We had been living together in a rented apartment. I tried reaching her and her parents' numbers, but they had all blocked me, I believe. So I stopped trying to contact them and left the apartment after paying my share of dues. The apartment owner asked me to take her belongings with me as well, but I refused and told him to contact her himself, and I gave him hers and her family's phone numbers and address. I also requested him to not share my new contact details with my ex or her family, and then moved to a different city and rented a studio apartment for myself. My previous apartment owner called me soon after that to say that he had tried contacting her but couldn't reach her, so he left all her belongings at the police station. My ex came to my parents' home a week ago and found me there. She was mad at me for leaving her belongings at the apartment instead of contacting her. Apparently, the apartment owner sued her for not paying rent and going no contact. She had to pay a huge amount to compensate for it. I told her that she should not have blocked me if she was keen on getting her belongings back. Now she's ranting about me on her social media from what I heard from close friends. Maybe I should have tried contacting her more before leaving her belongings there, so that she would not have been sued by the homeowner. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Info. How did she expect you to contact her since she blocked you? I think a provisional NTA is in order. It's not like she didn't know her stuff was there. She also didn't pick up when the landlord called, so her problem appears to be 100% of her own making. I'm sure it stung to be left at the altar, but you've probably realized by now she did you a favor, though I'm sure that wasn't her motivation. She's now with another guy. I think she cheated on me and did not want to confess about it. She didn't want to take responsibility for her own mistake. Color me shocked. I still don't see how she expected you to contact her. In any case, you dodged a bullet by not marrying her, even though it seems she's still determined to create turmoil in yours and your family's lives. Maybe a restraining order is called for here. Yep, maybe I should have tried contacting her more. Like, how exactly? OP, I'm sorry she did that to you. That must have been awfully heartbreaking. That being said, I'm glad you didn't marry this person. You apparently still think that you should have done more. No, just no. None of that is on you. Maybe I should have tried contacting her more before leaving her belongings there so that she would not have been sued by the homeowner. You did. You tried contacting both her and her parents. After a no-show at the wedding. You do not have to jump through hoops to chase this twit. You are not the a-hole, and your parents need to trespass her from their home. If she shows up there again, call the cops. She blocked you and then got angry you didn't contact her? As long as you squared everything away with the landlord before you left, I'd say that's where your obligations ended. I only paid my share of the dues. I did not clear her dues for her. That's why he sued her. Exactly. You took care of your obligations and you're not obligated to cover her finances. She's a grown adult. The ironic part is that Opie would have had some obligation as spouse if she hadn't left him at the altar. Sounds like Opie dodged a bullet. Next story. Am I the a-hole for barking at my ex? Some background. My ex Ezra, male 40-ish, and I, female 36, split in 2018 when after maybe 6 months in, he started to show some red flags here and there. I ran for the hills, got over him, found my person, and I'm overall happy in my life. That's now. Then I focused on work. Him on his new girlfriend, that lasted maybe 8 months. Their breakup also started the calls. First for support, but they soon evolved into griping sessions I wasn't in the mood for. It got so bad I had to block him, but then emails started coming, so I blocked him there too. In the meantime, I moved with my man, 2 blocks away from my best friend and within a mile from Ezra's baby mama's place. I was on my way home from my BFF's. Lovely night. I'm all tipsy and happy, headphones in and walk dancing through the streets, when all of a sudden a wild Ezra appeared with a kid, 13, in tow. Since I didn't hear him calling me, he decided to rip one of my headphones and started yelling this and that. Basically rubbish and how I destroyed his relationship. Never met the girl, so witchcraft it is. And how I'm a huge witch. Well, so I started barking. And kept barking, rising the volume to match his. People were staring, but I'm too tipsy, so I don't give a F. Lucky for him, a clever boy, he got quiet quickly, looked around and left. Eureka! Something works. Since then, every time Ezra bothers me in public, I just bark at him loudly till he runs away. One of common acquaintances is a happy gossip. Apparently, Ezra is, in his own words, traumatized by my behavior. He says I'm crazy, and I'm an a-hole for humiliating him in public. Am I, though? You are a queen. No, you. This is honestly the biggest power move there is. You decided to not play by his rules and give him what he wants. A public fight in front of his kid, and came up with an off-the-wall move that he has no idea how to respond to. Absolutely amazing. Hopefully he'll learn you're the alpha here and leave you alone eventually. Sometimes you just have to be a little louder and boisterous to get people to shut up and leave you alone. As long as you have not initiated a confrontation, shut it down quickly and move along. Your last sentence is exactly what I'm thinking. I've no time for a row in the middle of the street. It's very time effective. 60-second tops and I can go on my own way. You did what you had to do to get away from the crazy ex. If you keep saying that he was traumatized, tell the gossip acquaintance how he assaulted you. Because ripping your headphones is considered ass, and you were so scared that you freaked out and started to bark. Complain that you need therapy now. I'm already in therapy for totally unrelated things. Therapy squared. Thank you so much. It's not as serious of a crime here where I live. Don't worry though, it's not a big issue in my life. He's just a little bee. Pun definitely intended. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for using my ex-wife's maiden name? Ex and I have been divorced almost 10 years. She kept my last name because we have kids or something like that. I wanted her to change it back and told her it was the law that she had to. I don't use my last name for her. I have her in my phone with her old name. When I have to send her a check, I use her old name. When I fill out forms for the schools or doctors, I use her old name. And she says this causes problems, but I'm not sure why. A couple weeks ago, my daughter called her mother during a class at school and asked her what her last name was. Obviously, this made the mother confused. My daughter said that Dad wrote it down as old name, but you always write it as my name. The mother told my daughter that it was my name. The week after that, my daughter brought me a sports paper to sign. The mother had already signed and written her name. Before I signed, I crossed out my name and wrote her old name. My daughter started to cry and said I was disrespecting the mother, but I told her the mother was disrespecting me by keeping my name. Next thing I know, I get a nasty email from the mother telling me to cease and desist using her old name and that her legal name is my name. She said if it happens again, she will take me to family court. I talked to my wife about it, and she said I'm not the a-hole because now that we are married, only she can use my name. She says I should go back to court to force the mother to legally use her old name. My ex-wife says I'm an a-hole because this disrespects her, and that disrespecting her is disrespecting our children. I told her children don't need respect, and I don't respect her at all. So, am I the a-hole for this? You're the a-hole. Last names are not legal property and therefore it's not illegal for your ex to keep your last name. A court cannot and will not force her to change it, so you'd be wasting time and money. So you lied to her. Using her non-legal name means checks will bounce. Her identity cannot be confirmed, etc. That is making it hard for her to be able to identify herself and get the checks you sent her. I think you know that and are doing that in an attempt to get her to change her name back. You play dumb, but I think you really know what you are doing. Stop being a prick to the mother of your children. Quit the crap. You are not creating a good co-parenting relationship with your ex, and it's resulting in anger from your children. Is your name so freaking important? I doubt it is. That you would hurt your own children because of something so stupid? So what if she wants to keep it? If it means she can be easily identified as the mother of the children you share, be able to receive checks, and do her duty as a parent to your kids, then that is of no concern to you. Pull your head out of your bottom and stop being an a-hole. You're the a-hole. You should love your child more than you hate your ex-wife. That is all that needs to be said. OP is so concerned about being an a-hole to his ex that he doesn't care about hurting his children, and it's pathetic, OP. You're the a-hole. It's not the law that your ex changed her name back to her maiden name. Her name is legally the last name she changed it to when she married you. You're putting down the wrong name every time you put down her maiden name on something. It could cause a lot of issues. She might not be able to cash checks you write her in that name. If you fill out medical forms with her maiden name, it doesn't match her ID, which has her legal name on it. The one she changed it to when she got married to you. You're not only being disrespectful, you're causing actual problems. She didn't steal anything. It's so true. It can cause, and already causes, so many problems legally wise. I can't stress enough how irritating it is that you hunt her and change her legal details without her consent, while complicating things for her. And since you brought the legal aspect, there's a solid chance that it's illicit or borderline illicit to change her legal details without her consent. It's not illicit to keep her marital name, that's for sure. You're the offender here. And if I was in her position, I would take you to court a long time ago. I don't know how she has the patience to deal with it for a decade. Next story. Am I the a-hole for no longer helping my girlfriend? My girlfriend has a history of bringing animals home with no real regard for the people she lives with. I found out only after I had already moved out with her that her parents had kicked her out previously for the same issue. This isn't the reason she moved in with me. She had moved back in with her parents after not being able to financially sustain herself before I met her. When we moved in together, she had 5 cats and 4 dogs. My allergies were an issue, and cleaning and looking after the animals was pretty demanding both in terms of time and finances, and I never really had any animals before, so it was quite a stressful adjustment. However, she got a bit too comfortable with me helping so much, so I was the only one taking care of them, and the bulk of their food and toys and vet bills were coming out of my pocket. I blew through a large amount of savings because of this, which led to a lot of arguments. I tried communicating that I needed a change, and I couldn't keep doing what I was. All she ever really told me is that adult life isn't cheap, and losing finances is part of life. Things got worse after she lost her job, and I now also had to cover her rent. Everything I had saved up for a car over the last 2 years was now gone, which really depressed me. I checked out of the situation and stopped caring for her animals, only paying for absolute necessities so they were at least fed, until she found a job. I told her they weren't my animals, and that we just can't support so many while we both have full-time jobs, rent and other bills to pay. This caused her to reevaluate, and she ended up rehoming some of them so things could be easier. She's now been saying she gave up her animals for me. She wants another dog or a cat, and she's tired of me limiting what she has. It's been a repeated conversation. We're currently living paycheck to paycheck, and we just can't afford to have another animal. I told her I will refuse to help or provide until our situation gets better, and she called me manipulative and controlling. Sounds like the one who should be rehomed is your girlfriend. Yeah, buddy, you need to totally reevaluate this relationship with her. This will not change without getting her some therapy or counseling, or it totally consumes your life with her. Hoarding animals is just as much a psychological problem as hoarding anything else. The complete lack of financial awareness is a really critical problem here. She moved back with her parents because she was financially unable to be alone. They kicked her out because she was probably financially mistreating them over the animals. She was financially abusing the situation with Opie until he woke up and put his foot down. And now she's accusing him of being the cause of her not being allowed to have animals, rather than realizing it is simply a reality that she cannot afford them. If she doesn't start to understand the financial reality for her situation, and get help for her hoarding of animals, she will just get worse to the point that nobody can deal with her. She's giving up her animals for you while you have given up your savings for a car for her. Sounds like she can only see her sacrifice and unable to recognize yours. Try to focus the conversation with her about what you two are trying to achieve, and if owning many animals at this time really helps you to reach your shared goals from a financial perspective. Not stay home. That sucks about your savings. Her calling you controlling and manipulative is cruel. Unless I was married or committed, I wouldn't pay for anything but gifts or an emergency towards a partner's animal. It's their responsibility. I would question her rational reasoning skills. She sounds like the manipulative one. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for how I reacted after I found out my husband ran a secret background check on me before we got married? We've been married for 3 years, and I only just found out recently that before we got married, my husband ran a background check on me and my family. I found out because we were on vacation with his family, and they were doing things I had no interest in participating in a few times, so I stayed behind. He let me borrow his laptop because I left mine at home. I made a folder with my name, and I was searching for it when I found another folder with my name. The folder was full of reports on me, my family, including extended family, and 2 of my childhood friends. I read as much of the reports as I could before my husband and his family came home for the day. At first, I was just hurt he would do something like this without talking to me first, but as I read more and started finding out things about my family and friends that I never even knew, I started to get angry. It's hard to put it into words, but I felt like I had gone cold all over, but also like it wasn't me reading these things. So when I saw my husband, I exploded on him in front of his family. At first, he tried to say it wasn't a big deal, and his cousin chimed in to say it was normal, and he wasn't the only one who had done it in their family. When he saw I wasn't calming down, he tried to get me to go into our room so we could talk about it privately, but I told him I wasn't going anywhere with him and I was leaving. My husband told me to stay, and he would sleep somewhere else or he would leave, but we were staying in a house owned by his parents, and it felt weird for me to stay and make him leave, especially since his family were still there too. I ended up staying at a hotel for the night, and we both flew home shortly after that, cutting the vacation short. Am I the a-hole? I'm going with not the a-hole just based on how extensive the search seemed to be. I don't think it's super unusual to do a background check on someone, but the fact that it's your family, extended family, and friends leads me to believe that this is some U-level stalky BS, and I'd freak out too. Lol, so funny but true. Joe would be proud. If the family was like politicians and extremely wealthy type people, maybe it would seem normal or whatever. But without that context, I agree. Not the a-hole. At first, I tried to say it wasn't a big deal. Anytime somebody reaches for the not a big deal and tries to tell the upset person how to feel, they're being a-holes. And his cousin chimed in to say it was normal and he wasn't the only one who had done it in their family. Sounds like the family have normalized a-holes. I wonder if telling an angry person that what they're angry about isn't a big deal has ever worked a single time. I'm gonna go with no. Lol.